Welcome back to another episode of Missing Pieces. If by some chance you're just finding this, my name is Greg, and this is my weekly audio journal where I sit down and I talk about my life and all the things that I've been thinking about in the past week. I'm currently recording this on Sunday morning, October 23rd at 8:34 a.m., and I'm very excited right now because at this very moment, there is a 37-minute vlog being uploaded to Greg's World, which is my vlogging channel, that is essentially a week in my life. I started doing this new challenge this past week, and I'm calling it the No 0 Days Challenge. I don't know where this concept came from or how it came to me, but the first time that I've ever heard of the term No 0 Days or taking a 0 day was from this family that I watched that was hiking the Appalachian Trail, and a 0 day in that context is when you don't hike for a day. You just take the day off, you rest, you don't do anything. And while you're hiking, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because you don't want to go too hard. But in regular life, where you're not exhausting yourself every single day in extreme measures, you really don't want to take a 0 day, especially if you're a goal-driven person like myself and you always want to be working on your business or your goals or whatever that thing is in your life. And oftentimes there's multiple things. You don't want to take a 0 day. So I decided last Saturday, as I was driving to the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning, which I have to mention, Saturday morning at the gym is the best day to go to the gym because no one is there. I decided, you know what? No 0 days. I'm going to start vlogging every single day of my life, showing all the things that I'm working on, even if it's just a little bit. I'm making progress towards whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish. And I decided that I was going to do that for this entire week. And going forward, as far as I can do this, I'm going to start showing all the things that I'm doing. And not only to hold myself accountable, but maybe to inspire someone else out there to do something similar, whatever it is, because I think we all have some type of aspiration that we're working towards. But mostly it was to get me to start filming again, because I got out of the habit, or I don't know if it's a habit. I guess I got out of the action of recording the small things in life. You know, we were doing all these big trips, and I really felt like, okay, I'll record us at Ocean City, Maryland, or I'll record us on this UK trip, and then I'll make those videos, and it'll be like these amazing things. But that's not reality. That's not life. That's a vacation. What are you doing in your regular life? What's happening on a day-to-day basis? And I like to think that I know my audience, and I think that's the kind of stuff that they're most interested in, just seeing what we're up to. Whether it's me, Clark, Mrs. Brickitect, or Cody, as she's known in some circles. Heck, I get messages about Roxy Bear. Someone left me a message the other day on a picture that I took, and they're like, Greg, I love whatever you choose to film, but can we get some more Roxy Bear? Mellow Cat always has fans asking about her. The chickens are superstars, obviously. Like, it's weird how when you share your life, even your pets become like personalities on the channel or the show or whatever it is that we're making here. And it's just a really cool thing. And it's such an honor that people actually care enough about us to care about our dog, you know? So, in fact, like the crazy thing is, like, that's how the channel started. Most people probably, like, in the early days found our channel because of Roxy, because we had a pretty successful video bringing her home, which was just wild. You just never know how the universe is going to work and how it's going to treat you. But here we are over a decade later, and we're still doing it. New chapters have evolved, and this is certainly a new one. And I'm so excited to be doing this. And I'm so excited to, like, not only have this footage, but sitting down and, like, editing that together and seeing how beautiful a week in a life can become. You know, you think you're just recording, like, little snippets here and there. And certainly that is an appeal to me, because when you're trying to do any kind of vlogging, say you're trying to do daily vlogs, first of all, that's a lot of pressure to try to make each day something that it tells a complete story, as opposed to just what in this case is like, could be like a 3-minute entry of various things, or 6 minutes. Some of them are 7 minutes. But to actually, like, tell a story and then to edit that every single day while also recording the next day is not easy to do. I did that fairly consistently when Clarkman was doing remote learning kindergarten. Every single day of kindergarten, when we were together, I would record that day and then upload it. And we were doing that 5 days a week. And that's a lot to take on. But again, when you look back, you're like, man, I'm so glad that I have this. And I know people were really into that too. But I'm not doing this for anyone really other than myself, just to get back into the habit. And I've noticed that when I'm making an effort to record things, I tend to do more things, because it's like, you don't want to show you not doing anything, right? Like, this is my goal for today. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Let me show the action of doing it, or show it already being completed. And that's what this whole week turned into. I have no idea, obviously, because it's not out yet, how this is going to perform with an audience on YouTube. I asked some of my buddies, I'm like, do you guys like long videos, like 30 plus minutes? And most of them said yes. Like, yeah, I love getting invested in. And I went through and I made chapters for each day. So I'm hoping that if someone can't commit to a 37-minute video, which is totally understandable, you could watch like Sunday and Monday and then like come back and watch Tuesday, and each day kind of has a title. I'm not sure if all these are going to be super long like this. They may be longer, they may be shorter, but I'm making an effort every day to share something that's happening. And having an 8-year-old, almost 8-year-old with you is it's definitely worth capturing those moments, because Clark, man, it's this going by in a blink of an eye. This 10 years from now, he's going to be an adult. So I want to have as much of this as I can. And the fact that I wasn't really recording much just really disappoints me, I guess. And that's a regret that I have, and something that I'm trying to avoid is regrets. And I regret not filming anything like throughout September, for example. I really didn't film much. And I'm like, dang it, we did so much, and there were so many things that I could have shared or I could have documented, I could have had. And they're just memories now. This No 0 Days challenge, which I don't know if I'm always going to call it that, but that's like what it is in my mind. No 0 days, always like work towards something. And maybe I'll leave you with this on this topic. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you going to do today to not have a 0 day, regardless of what it is? Do you have a fitness goal? Do you have a goal in your education, a goal in your career? Do you have a goal at your household? Do you have a goal with a friend, family member? You got to have something that you're working towards. I think it's the number one ingredient for a successful life is to have goals, at least in my experience. So if you don't have any goals, try to write them down, some things that you'd like to accomplish. And then just like me, you don't have to film it, but when you get up each day, think, what am I going to do today to not have a 0 day? Right? And maybe, just maybe, you'll get somewhere. And maybe just watching my video, you'll be like, I'm going to do something. And that'd be so cool. I would love that for you. Not that I'm in control of you, but sometimes I don't know what it is, but I just feel like this is my purpose. Even if it is just sharing little parts of my life that are inconsequential, I feel like there's something bigger out there, that there's somebody that will get something out of this that's truly remarkable. And I'm not going to get emotional, but I know that person's out there. Whether I ever hear from them or not is meaningless. I don't need to hear from this person to know that they may exist. And there's a good chance that I won't hear from them. But maybe these little videos that we make can have a power beyond anything that we can imagine. Wow. Okay. All right. Greg, come on now. Don't be like that. Okay. Don't watch this. Everyone listen to the audio podcast, available everywhere. I'm going to edit all of this out. Just kidding. We don't edit these unless we really have to. Next thing I want to talk about is kind of along that same mental state that I'm in there, unfortunately, because it almost destroyed me. I was listening to this podcast, and he was talking about the direction you're going in your life, which is kind of what this whole day is kind of about. And he was talking about your path and the concept of, does your path have a heart? And this really intrigued me. He said this line that really stuck with me. It says, does it light you up, this path that you're on, the thing that you're choosing to do with your time in your life? Does it light you up? Does it make you feel alive? Does it make you excited for life? And I can say with certainty, this No 0 Days vlogging my life certainly does. Like, I love doing this. And I was so excited yesterday to edit all the footage that I got, until I actually saw how much footage there was, because there was like 200 clips that I recorded. And it took me like 4 hours to edit all of that down into a video that's 37 minutes long. So I am going to be more disciplined with this each day. I need to edit the previous day, even if it's just a couple minutes of footage. I just want to have that ready, because every Sunday I want to have one of these out. That path has a heart. But there's something else that I started doing this past week that absolutely has a heart. And it's something that I was hesitant to do, because I really felt like it wasn't fruitful in my business or for me personally, and that was live streaming. I did I think it was a business meeting podcast talking about live streaming. My complicated relationship with live streaming is what I titled it. And as much as like historically, I've really enjoyed live streaming, oftentimes like going completely crazy, like doing it like crazy. How many times can you say crazy? I'm crazy in one sentence. I really felt like from a business perspective and a time perspective, it wasn't, I don't know how to say it. Like it, if I can only say it like this because I've talked about this. If I had a board of directors and I told them like, hey guys, I'm gonna live stream all the time and I'm gonna have a lot of fun doing it, but it's not gonna make any money for our business here, and it's not really gonna do anything like financially or really anything other than building relationships potentially. But oftentimes, like even that I question. They'd be like, well, Greg, I don't know if we should do that. Why don't you focus on just the regular videos? I'd be like, but I really enjoy doing this. And then we'd have this back and forth. But when I started doing this again, I decided, you know what? Regardless of anything, I'm going to follow my heart. I'm going to go on this path that has a heart. And does this thing light you up? Does it make you feel alive? Does it make you excited for life? And the answer is yes. So I decided that I was going to start live streaming again. And I did. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. I don't know what it is about this particular time, because there's been times in the past, and I think it's mostly because I have a younger audience. I wasn't feeling fulfilled, I guess, in doing it. But now it's like totally different. And there's been these other things that have happened throughout this past week that have really inspired me to do this as well. I've been getting some comments from people and messages from people that have really encouraged me through I guess compliments on the content, or telling me what it means to them, or how happy us just simply building a Lego set or just hanging out and having a conversation makes them. And again, I go back to that person. Those are the people that you hear from. I go back to that person that you maybe never will hear from. But this little event that in my life that I'm just kind of sharing what I'm doing in real time and keeping someone company can be a game changer for them. In fact, I mentioned this on one of the other podcasts I got. I got a message from someone that said that the live streams that we were doing back when COVID was a big thing and lockdowns were happening and they were feeling very lonely, those podcasts really made them feel like they had company. And you don't know how many people out there are like that. And I just keep thinking about this in my mind, like this imaginary person in my mind is probably actually a real person, but like how much could this positively impact them? Even if it doesn't make any money, which, is a good thing for business, but who cares? I do a lot of things that aren't about the money. This podcast is an example of that. I do it because I love it. I do it because it has a heart. And in my opinion, doing things like this is the most important thing that I can do. And that's why I do it. It's you can't think about everything in terms of numbers or think things objectively. Sometimes you have to think with your heart. And sometimes you got to follow that path that lights you up. And that's what I'm doing right now. And that's what I think has led me to where I am today. And regardless of how it does, in terms of views or whatever, this is what I feel called to do. And I'm going to continue on this path. And the right people will find it. I truly believe that. The right audience will always find you. And I'm a huge believer in putting out to the world what you would like to see and what you want the world to be. And regardless of that, if that's the popular thing or if there is a huge market for it, I'd rather talk to the people that really need to hear what I'm saying. So we're following the path with the heart, and I'm just so excited to do that. Speaking of things I'm excited to be doing, my goodness, outside of documenting my life and making these podcasts that I love so much, I have a trifecta of things that I enjoy doing. And the other thing is fitness. I've been a member of Planet Fitness, $10 a month. Cody and I have been doing that since September 1st. And it has become my favorite thing that I'm doing in my life. And I think the most fruitful. You might sit there and you do a live stream for half an hour or an hour, and maybe you feel like, what was it worth it? I can say with certainty, there's no doubt in my mind that working out for an hour absolutely is. And we're doing this multiple times per week. We usually go 3 times a week, and then I've snuck in a fourth day going on Saturdays too, because that's my favorite day when no one's there. I just have the whole place to myself. When you get up early in the morning and I'm out there, like the sun's going up and I'm just like feeling it, listening to some music. Oh, it's such a good feeling. But man, it's been awesome working out. And I don't know if I can sell you on actually going to the gym because it can be a scary thing. And I know for me, having Cody going with me, who's already been like a gym person, she worked out at the school at that gym. It really like it made me feel like confident in going there when she was going, and now we go together. We both do our own things, but it's nice having a gym partner. I know going there by yourself can be intimidating, but trust me on this, like the people that are there, they're so involved in what they're doing that they don't care about you. You're just another person there. In fact, if you feel like you're not a gym body type, or you feel like maybe you're too heavy to go there, or whatever it is, like whatever it is that's blocking you, I am most impressed when I go to the gym and I see somebody that's really overweight or just maybe very old or whatever the case is. I have like 10 times the respect for that person as I do for a person that's just like a bodybuilder type that's there, because this person is going way outside their comfort zone. They're working on something that they have a goal to do. And I just cheer for them. And I would love to, I talked about this before, I'd love to say something to him. I'd like to go up to you and be like, dude, super proud of you for being here. Keep doing what you're doing. But it's very awkward to do that, I suppose. As much as I just want to encourage somebody. Oh goodness. That's my path, I think. That's what has a heart. Try to encourage people. The gym. I love lifting weights. I love feeling stronger. I love trying to do bigger numbers. I love exhausting myself there. It's everything about it is very addicting. And I also love seeing the scale going down. I told you at the beginning, it wasn't really going well. Like I wasn't losing any weight, it seemed. But now after going there, I guess we've been going about 7 weeks. I'm down 5.2 pounds. And I feel like that number is pretty good because we've had a lot of cheats. We went on a week's vacation in Ocean City where I went wild. We also went to New York City, had every dessert you can imagine with every meal. I still have pizza here and there. Cody made apple dumplings this past week. So it's a balancing act, but I like seeing that scale going down. I like feeling stronger. I just feel better about myself in general. And it all could just be a placebo. For all I know, just go in there, just the act of doing it, and you leave there and you just feel like you can conquer the world. I love how it sets my day in motion, especially doing it in the morning. And I just don't see a point where I'm not doing this in the future. And I have, again, regrets for not doing it sooner, because had I been doing this for years, just think of where I'd be right now. But I'm excited to get to where I'm going. I love seeing the scale go down. I'm actually not looking forward to eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I want to hit my goal weight. I'm not looking forward to that because then I don't have that challenge. I just have like the building muscle challenge. But maybe it'll always be a battle. Maybe if I get down to my goal weight and I'm really burning some calories, then I can like do some more cheats, which will be fun. But I can't encourage you enough. If you haven't worked out in 10 years, you've never worked out before, if you've never lifted some type of weight, even if you start small at your house. I watched this video of a guy, he was out in like a park and he just picked up this giant rock and he's like, if you want to build this muscle, do this. If you want to build this muscle, do this. And he's just like moving the rock back and forth. And I'm like, you could literally just do that at your house. You don't need much of anything. In fact, I do some workouts here as well, which is nice, but I really love the equipment at the gym. So I've been like just super encouraged myself by what I've seen in going there, in my mental state and physically as well. And I just love it. So I'm going to keep giving you updates as the weeks go by. I guess I'll update you. I don't know what I could say more than that. I guess I'm like still doing it. Here's my weight loss. Maybe I'll give a weight loss update each week, let you know how I'm making out with that until I get down to my goal weight. But 5.2 pounds in 7 weeks with all of the things that we've done. Super stoked about that. And I'm looking forward to see what comes of this. So one thing about the gym that I wanted to talk about here that's kind of funny, and I want to get your reaction to this or thoughts on this. Gym campers is what I call them. So they have all these machines there that I like to use. And occasionally, like some people will get on a machine, they'll do a little bit of working out, and then they'll sit there, get their phone out, and they'll just be there for minutes on end. And even if I don't want to use that machine, I find myself getting like angry with them. I don't know why. Like in my mind, when you go there, you're there to work. And I see people like they're just sitting there. It's like, if you're just going to come here and sit, why even show up? If you're just going to do a couple exercises, then leave. Like there's this dude, he's got a McDonald's coffee perched on the machine. He's sitting there looking at his phone. He's got his like legs crossed. I'm just like, why are you here? I want to go over and just like slap him and be like, dude, get to work. I want to be your personal trainer, my friend. Like I want to be like, get to it, drop and give me 50, but I guess to each his own. And maybe doing something's better than doing nothing, but don't go and be a gym camper. Also, don't be one of those guys that stares at dudes' wives. I watched this dude. We were walking in, and we have to walk past like all of the ellipticals and treadmills and stuff. And there was this dude sitting there. And as Cody's walking by, he turns his head and he's staring her down the whole time we walk by, looking up and down, up and down. And then I look at him, and I'm like, that guy he's really giving you the look. And she's like, who? And I pointed right at the dude. And I don't know if he had any shame in it or not, but yeah, man, like just don't be staring. Yesterday I had a guy staring at me too. And maybe he's charmed by my chiseled physique, but don't be staring at people. And like, even when I looked at him and caught him staring, usually in most cases, like somebody's staring at you, or maybe you're a starer. If you lock eyes with that person you're staring at, like that breaks it. Like you're gone. Like you don't want to look like you're looking at him. But this guy had no shame, still staring at me. Then I caught him staring at another dude there that was working, and I'm like, geez, dude, don't be staring. Like I said, everybody exists in their own world. Usually everybody has some type of headphone device in, AirPods, whatever it is. So like you don't talk to people, you don't look at people, like you just exist. But yeah, don't be a starer. Don't be a camper. Those are my two pieces of advice for when you're at the gym, if you decide to go, which I hope you do, because I love it. I really do. Anyways, let's move on to the next part of this podcast, which is Watch a Tech. Just a very short segment here, because we started a new show that I was waiting to do. It's so hard to find time to watch things that aren't appropriate for kids when you have a kid. I'm sure other parents out there can relate to this, but I've been wanting to watch House of Dragon for a very long time. It's the Game of Thrones prequel, and like I've been basically keeping my HBO Max membership just for this. And we finally started watching this week. We got like 2 episodes in, 2.5. We watch it like up until Clarkman gets home from school, and then like it shuts off. Because, it's not, I would say in the first couple episodes, it's not nearly as sexual as Game of Thrones is, and maybe not nearly as violent yet, but it's still not really appropriate for a 7-year-old. So we're creeping that in. I'm so excited to see this whole series. I love it. It's basically like a soap opera for adults. It's particularly like, I think men would be very interested in this show. It's just so good, and I don't want to say anything that's happening in it or spoil anything, especially if you haven't watched Game of Thrones. If you haven't watched Game of Thrones, you got some work ahead of you, because that is a great series. Up until the end, it kind of falls apart, but I'm excited to see kind of what leads up to Game of Thrones. And I feel like I almost need to go back and watch Game of Thrones again, because when you know everything that you know, watching it again will feel like, I feel like you'll be able to absorb it better. When you know the outcomes, you know the characters as they're being introduced, and there's all this different lineage and stuff with the family trees. It's pretty nuts, but we're finally getting into that. I still have to watch The Rings of Power as well, which is, I think, on Amazon. I haven't seen that yet. I don't do much watching. Most of my watching is like YouTube content. I have so many channels that I just really love what they produce. And when I actually sit down, or when I'm like before bed, when I go to watch something, oftentimes it's some type of YouTube content. And committing to an entire show is difficult. Like, speaking of that, I think the last time I talked about Watch a Tech News was the Dahmer show, and I have like 2 episodes that left, but there's nothing like really calling me to finish that. That show is just, I don't know. Like I said, before, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. It's just sick, and the trending thing on Netflix got me. I don't necessarily want a refund on my time, but I wouldn't invest it again, probably. In Greg's Arcade News, which is similar to Watch Tech, it used to be called Gamer Tech News. Greg's Arcade News, Clark and I, as I mentioned, we're now streaming. We've been streaming. In fact, I don't know if I talked about this, but I did a poll last week on my gaming audience to figure out what type of content they like. We're talking about making a 37-minute vlog here and how people will receive that. It's still a mystery to me. But one thing I do know is that I pulled my audience and asked them, would you rather have a daily 1 hour live stream of us just playing some random games? Or would you rather have like a few videos each week where I upload some recorded content that's just like a highlight video? So 1 hour pretty much every day, or just like a short, edited, sweet highlight video. And 80% of the audience said they would prefer the 1 hour live stream, which makes sense because in gaming, Twitch is pretty popular with streaming and people really do like kind of being with you as you're playing through a game. And for me, that was great news because it meant that I don't have to edit. And that saves a lot of time, particularly when you're already making content for this channel, which doesn't require much editing. I talk freely. This is not scripted, as you may have been able to tell so far. This is just time consuming and exporting and uploading mostly. And I'm also making Lego content. I'm making these videos on Greg's World that are massive undertakings, it seems. So doing the gaming thing, and I'm always trying to balance all these plates at once. And usually I can do about 2 plates and the other 2 kind of fall and break on the floor. But right now, like as of this week, I'm really like all 4 plates, they're spinning. I'm doing great. And Clark and I took him up on it. And we started playing through Super Mario World, which is a game for Super Nintendo. And the interesting thing about this game is, first of all, it's fantastic. It's an incredible game. But it's one that I missed out on when I was a kid. I went from Nintendo. I got a Nintendo when I was 5 years old, which would have been Christmas of 1990. I was just about to turn 6. Loved it. But then after that, I was always late to the game, it seems. My babysitter and her kid had a Sega Genesis, and I played it there, and I loved Sega. So when it came Christmas time, I think it was 94, this is years and years later, I ended up getting a Sega Genesis and went down the Sega path until I got a Nintendo 64, I think in 97. So those were that was my path. I went Nintendo, Sega, Nintendo, and unfortunately, I missed out on a ton of amazing Super Nintendo games, including Super Mario World, which, if I have to say, and this is going to trigger some people, I think Super Mario World is better than Mario 64. I just killed someone's childhood. And I think it's better than the original Mario Brothers. As much as that did for the video game industry, this is such an incredible game. And I'm enjoying the heck out of playing through it with Clark, man. We're doing it like after bath time or whatever. Every night we come down and we play for 45 minutes or an hour. And then I just put like a funny little thumbnail on it, and that becomes a video. And people seem to enjoy it. Like, they're doing pretty well. And I'm excited to keep doing more of that. I was planning to do like a different game every night, just little samples of things in here and there. Maybe like my first hour playing this. But we've got sucked into the Super Mario World so hard that we've played it like 4 nights in a row. And I just love it. I love that game so much. And I want to play through the whole thing. We're cheating big time, though. Some of you guys are going to be triggered because I use the save state system on Nintendo Switch. I'm playing this Nintendo Switch Online, which if you have a Switch, you should get one if you don't have a Switch, first of all. But if you love old video games, get Nintendo Switch Online. I think it's like $50 a year. But it gives you access to a ton of Nintendo games, Super Nintendo games, Sega Genesis games, and Nintendo 64 games. Plus the Switch library is incredible too. The only thing you're missing out on is like GameCube and Wii. But yeah, it gives you like a massive amount of content for what you're paying. And that's how we've been playing it. And as a result, you have this opportunity that you can do like save states. Or a suspend point or whatever. So if you do something really well, or if you get to a kind of a tricky spot, you can save there, and then you can go through, and if you fail a bunch of times, you can always go back to your save state, which is what we've been doing. I know you hardcore people and elitists out there that played it originally be like, Greg, I can play through that game, no death run, I don't need your cheats. But Clark and myself, like, it's a hard game in my opinion. It was before video games held your hands like they do today. Today's Mario, and we've played it, like, there's no consequence in dying, really. You get a game over, they just give you 5 more lives and you play through again. But back then it was pretty serious. And man, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So we're probably going to be playing more of that as well. I did see, now that I'm like in this space, I guess I'm into the algorithm has now chosen me to see Mario content. And I saw that Mario Maker 2, which is a game that we have, someone, and you can make Mario levels. Someone made Super Mario World 5, or Mario 5 is what they're calling it, where it's almost like Super Mario World 2. So you'd have like Mario 1, 2, 3, Super Mario World would be 4, and then they made the fifth game themselves. Like someone just designed it. And I'd like to play through that too. It looks even harder than what the Mario World is. But I saw someone playing through it and I'm like, dang, this is amazing. So we're back into gaming. I'm back into streaming. I'm back into vlogging. Podcasting just naturally is a thing. We've been doing that since we've been going to the gym since the school year started too. So again, everything just feels like, we're firing on all cylinders. Things are going really well. How long will it continue? Hopefully forever. I am doing my best to not go too crazy because I don't want to get burned out. That's happened before to me because I can't just do something a little bit. I always have to go all in. And balance has never been the thing that I've been successful at. So I'll keep you posted. But right now everything is good and I'm just like super excited for this path that I'm on. But I do want to tell you one last thing. We're going to jump into listener feedback here. I'm bringing it back because you guys are getting me excited. But I want to talk about my YouTube rabbit hole. Last topic here before we jump into that. This YouTube rabbit hole this week was the Godzilla 1985 rabbit hole. Video recommended to me, and I watched it. It gave a really great history of Godzilla and how it became popular and how in Japan it was amazing and pretty much always has been. But here in the United States, we've tried to like Americanize it. In fact, Godzilla 1985 was the attempt to, I guess, kind of remake the Return of Godzilla or Godzilla 2. And they talked about just what a giant failure this was, including putting a Dr. Pepper product placement into it at like the worst times too. Like there's a soda machine in the background in one of the scenes. And then there's this moment of drama. I haven't seen the movie, so I'm just going off what they showed in this video. But like there's like this moment of tension and all of a sudden the guy's drinking a Dr. Pepper and you just have to cringe. So they kind of butchered it. But it got me interested in Godzilla, and I kind of want to go back and watch the older movies. I've seen the newer ones. I saw the one that came out, I don't know what year it was, but it was the one with Bryan Cranston in it, aka Walter White. And then I saw Godzilla versus Kong, or Kong versus Godzilla, whatever that movie was. I love that one. That was incredible. But I got to go back and watch these old ones from Japan and see how they are. And yeah, it was a fun rabbit hole to go down to. If you guys have any rabbit holes that you can suggest to me, let me know. Or if you want to link the video, I will go down your rabbit hole. And oh God, that sounds weird. I'm not literally going to go down your rabbit hole, but I will go down the YouTube rabbit hole and see what you guys are into and what I can learn from it. Speaking of you guys got me wanting to go back to New York City after talking about it last week. This one's from James Rolfe, this listener feedback. He says, we usually go into New York City around Christmas or New Year every year while we're out at the in-laws. It always hurts my checkbook. Absolutely. It's very nice to see at the holidays, though, at the Lego store is right where the tree and skating in Rockefeller Center, so I can at least get lost in there for a while. I also agree with Bryant Park area comment. Cool area with holiday market and outdoor skating next to the library where they filmed Ghostbusters, outside at least. So you guys got me wanting to go back to New York City. There's so many things that I missed. There was multiple comments about that. Here's another one from JMT14 says, a friend and I try to do a day trip to New York City once a year around Christmas. Cody would love checking out the windows on Fifth Avenue, and you would love all the street food. Bryant Park has an outdoor holiday market with the best filled rice balls. I need to go back. G Family, another one, says, next time you're in New York City, get a pretzel from a New York street vendor. It'll give Annie Ann's a run for its money. Darn it, that's what really sold me. You say that there is a pretzel that can give Annie Ann's a run for its money, you sold me. But you can see there's so many things, like just going to New York City for essentially like 36 hours is what it was. It wasn't even 36 hours, it was less. You can just scratch the surface. There's so much to do, so much to see. And what's wrong with taking the back streets? I could go there anytime. I leave here, drive to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is like probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Get on the train at Harrisburg and we run it all the way across Pennsylvania through Philadelphia into New York City. I could probably be there before noon, and then we could spend the entire afternoon there and then come home. But I'd probably want to like stay overnight, I think, because that would give you a lot more time. So you like find somewhere to stay overnight, which is going to destroy your wallet. and then you spend the whole day there next day, and then you come home. If you did that enough times, you probably could see everything. But you guys got me sold for going around Christmas time. I think that's going to be a tough challenge this year, but it sounds like it'd be really amazing. I should probably learn to ice skate too, because that could be really cool. I don't know how to do that, but it's on my wanted list of things to do. That'd be a great addition to my No Zero days. Learning to ice skate. I can't roller skate. I can't rollerblade. I can't ice skate, but I'd love to try. And I think Cody would like to do the ice skating as well. Maybe we get Clarkman doing it. That would be really fun. I got to find a way to make that happen. I'm sure there's a place somewhere, probably not near us because there's nothing near us. In fact, this is what Katy Perry, who kissed a girl and liked it, said. I live out in the woods. We drive at least 25 minutes to get anywhere. Going out or getting fast food is now a monthly thing rather than twice weekly like it was before we moved a few years ago. I cook most days. It's slow and quiet, and we have goats and chickens. So much better than city life. That's what shocked me back into reality. When everyone's hyping up New York City and talking about how great it is, I'm like, oh man, I want to go back. And then Katie's comment here was like, you know what? That's the life that I want. I'm okay visiting New York City. I want the goats and chickens. I'm halfway there, but that life to me sounds nice. But you can have a little bit of both. You can live out and then go in when you want to and then retreat, which is, I think, the ultimate win. We got other comments here too. These are unrelated, but related to things that I was talking about throughout the podcast last week. I almost said stream. I've been doing that so much. This is from Steelers Pens. We got a Pittsburgh night here, maybe. It says the chocolate lab alarm is great. I have two. Most reliable alarm clock ever. Doesn't need charged or batteries and wakes you up on time every day. That is true. My response to that was all you need is an industrial vacuum cleaner if you're going to have two labs. We have one, and Roomba is asking for a pay raise, and our vacuum, like when we vacuum, it's just chocolate lab fur. That's our entire vacuum canister. So God bless you having two labs. I would love it. In fact, man, I want a second dog so bad. I'm the type of person, and I really wish I could pull this off. I'd be like the pet guy. I would have as many dogs as I could accommodate. I'd have a ton of cats. I love having outdoor animals. Like my dream farm, just like Katie's here, I'd like to have a couple goats because they need friends. I'd like to have a little potbelly pig, chickens, of course. I'd like to have some ducks and a couple dogs, have a really nice barn cat. And when I go to get a cat, I'm picking up one from the SPCA, and I'm going to go in there. I'm going to find the loveliest cat that they have. I don't care how old he is, what he looks like or she. I want the cat that's going to like jump at you to get love and attention. Because Mellow Cat is like one of those cats that, I'll come to you when I'm ready. I don't really need you. You can feed me, that's great, but I'm good. I'll take a scratch in here and there. But I want a cat that you walk outside, it's like circling your legs and is just like desperate. That's my cat. But yeah, I'd like another dog. I've considered. I don't think I can ever get another chocolate lab because I'll just always like think of Roxy, and I don't think there is a better chocolate lab out there, at least for me. I would love to get a Siberian Husky. I think they're just the most gorgeous creatures, but I read that they're very energetic. They need a lot of exercise, and it is kind of nice when you're busy. Like Roxy right now is probably sleeping somewhere in the house. As she's gotten older, she just kind of chills. She's like a house cat. But I love Siberian Huskies. They also have like a miniature version, which I've always wanted a miniature lab. I'm surprised that doesn't exist, like where they keep breeding small labs together until you get a lab that's the size of a cat. But they make a thing called a Pomsky, which is a Pomeranian mixed with a Husky, and they're pretty darn cute. But then you're getting into the little dog territory, and I'm a big dog type guy. I love big dogs. So like the world is my oyster. I also love Australian Shepherds. I think they're gorgeous. Border Collies. I love those type of dogs as well. So, maybe if we were to move and we get this little farm situation, I could see us getting a second dog. But again, like when you want to travel and when you want to do things, and this is the thing that's holding me back, it's hard to take on all these pets and animals because then somebody's responsible for them. The chickens, I could let them go for a couple weeks without any kind of attention because I have feeders, waters, I got everything set up. I have an automatic door. Mellow Cat, I've got a feeder out there, assuming that the raccoon doesn't eat all the food, which if you watch the 37-minute vlog, you'll get to see our new visitor. You got that. But the Roxy Bear goes with my mother-in-law. But if I got like ducks and goats and chickens, more chickens, all that stuff, a pig, it requires a lot more attention, and I don't want to burden someone. So our ideal situation is we get a place with some land, the house is already existing on it, or we build a house, and then we put a place on it as well for my mother and father-in-law. That way we're all kind of together, and as they get older, that'll be nice to be close. And then when we go traveling or go do something, they're right there on property that they can come out and take care of the goats, for example. That's what I'm looking for. It's just not easy to find. Also, I need a place that I can build a giant building so I can have like Greg's Fantasy Factory there, where it's like my Lego city and arcade and all of this stuff is set up in their ping pong table. Life goals, life dreams. If I could pull this off, I just need some flat acreage. That's all I need. And then the next chapter begins with all my pets and my fun and all that stuff. That's honestly like what I'm dreaming about. In fact, there's going to be a business meeting podcast where I talk about that a little further coming up here. That was a lot of discussion about pets there. Let's go on to the next one. This is from BuilderBuds YouTube. John Green is definitely my favorite author. I talked about how I really didn't love Turtles all the way down. He said he enjoyed Turtles, but would place it behind several of his other works. Looking for Alaska is my number one since it's the first one of his I read. I used to teach that book in class, and it made readers out of kids that hated reading, so that will always hold a special place in my heart. I read that book as well, and I turned Cody onto that book, who now teaches it to her students, who now enjoy it too. So it's like this chain reaction, and that's kind of how I found him. But man, making readers out of kids that don't like to read, what better thing to do than that, right? And I really wish more teachers, like Cody does this thing where you're not assigned a book to read. They have a book tasting, like a wine tasting, where several books are presented to you. You get a little taste of each one. You read a couple pages or read about the book, and then you choose which book you read. So it's a lot easier to fall in love with reading when you don't have a teacher telling you, okay, you have to read Moby Dick. You have to read War and Peace. It's like, what book do you want to read? Which resonates with you? And the book that, man, if I was in her class, she has them potentially read Into the Wild, which if you don't know what that one, it's, what's his name? Chris McCandless. He goes up to Alaska to kind of find himself. It doesn't turn out very well, spoiler alert. But if I would have read that book when I was in 11th grade, I probably would have bought a van, and I would have, after graduating high school, I probably would have went to Alaska. That's how inspirational that class would have been for me. But instead, my teachers were old school and were boring, old, ready for retirement, and did exactly what I said not to do, where it's like, this is your book, read it. And I did. I read Spark Notes, and then I regurgitated answers that they wanted, and I got nothing out of it. But that was on me. I was young, dumb, and stupid then. These days, I would totally read the book. Next comment, though, comes from my buddy Shy. He says, I love stick, talking about manual transmissions. I can't remember the context of it last week. I do remember mentioning like technology. He says, I miss it. I had so much control of the speed and power when hitting the canyons. Dude, I would love to do that. I'll tell you what, Shy, if you miss it so much, I have a way that you could replicate it without buying another car in any way, or even leaving your house. Get yourself one of the Logitech steering wheels like I have, and then either get Assetto Corsa for your PC or get a PlayStation 4 or 5 and get Gran Turismo, and you can sit there and replicate it even with a shifter, the pedals, the steering wheel, the whole works. You can do the whole thing and enjoy the heck out of it. That's my plan. I want to get like a whole like a rig here where I have like the monitor in front of me and the car seat, like you're sitting in a racing seat with the shifter and the steering wheel. I want to do all that. I just don't have the space for it, which is why I need to build this big building with all of my dreams inside of it. But you could totally do that, and you could probably even find the car that you had before, which I think you had a Mazda RX-8 maybe. You could race that car again and enjoy the heck out of it. In fact, you could probably customize to the point where it's almost uncontrollable and live your greatest life. The next one here, I'm hesitant to share this next and last listener feedback because Mary here mentions another podcast, and this podcast is absolutely incredible. In fact, it's my favorite podcast that I listen to each week, and I don't want you to listen to this because you're going to realize just how much I suck. But I'm going to share it nonetheless. Mary says, if you want a personal podcast, which is what I'm really looking for, try Father Roderick Von Hogan, aka the Geek Priest. He doesn't push religion, but everyday stuff in his The Walk podcast. I've listened and watched him as long as I've followed you, the two best YouTubers and podcasters out there. Let's not go that far, Mary. Father Roderick is a god among men. I shouldn't say that because he's a priest. And if listening to a Catholic priest puts you off because of the religion aspect of it. Just like Mary says, he doesn't really push that. He's like really into Star Wars. He actually has like a Lego live streaming thing that he does every once in a while. He's on TikTok talking about anime. He's just like a giant nerd. And he does this podcast called The Walk. He does The Break, which is like just talking about miscellaneous, like various topics like life, health, things he's watching, things he's playing, very much like this. Think of Missing Pieces as like The Break. The Walk is where he goes and actually goes for a walk and talks about like very personal stuff in his life. And I love every minute of it. And he's such a great guy. You can tell he's a good soul, obviously. And I don't know, I'm just really drawn to that. And I wish I could find more. I found out about him through Cliff Ravenscraft, who used to do a thing called Pursuing a Balanced Life, which is kind of like where he would go for a walk and just talk about his life. And I related to that one quite a bit. He was kind of like my mentor going into like business for yourself and following your dreams. And he's the one that I got the path with a heart. He's the one that kind of got me inspired on that this week because I was listening to a podcast of his. But the problem with Cliff, unlike Father Roderick, is that Cliff went down like the sales route. Every time it seemed to listen to him, it became, here's a piece of content, but here's how it relates to my business, and I want to coach you, and I want you to pay me money. And that just really turned me off after a bit, especially when he tried doing like this big conference thing, and he was trying to get everybody to sign up for it, and everything that he did went from being from a place of, from being his heart, like Father Roderick, like what I do here, to I need to convert you to a sale, and I just hated that. So I don't really listen to his stuff anymore. And it's just crazy because when I was working at my job or leaving my job, he was like a guy that motivated me. He was a guy that worked in the insurance industry with his family and realized like that wasn't his calling. What he really loved to do was podcasting in the same way that I really loved making YouTube videos, and decided that he was going to leave that business and start a podcasting thing and see where it took him. And he became very successful doing it. And it was kind of like the blueprint for me to do essentially the same thing just on the YouTube front. But we all, he's got a family to provide for and stuff, so I can understand needing to make money because it's not, ads don't really work in the podcasting space, I guess, as well. And he doesn't really do that, but he's trying to, everything he does seems to have like this underlying work with me type mentality or become a customer of mine mentality. And it just doesn't vibe with me in the same way that Father Roderick, he's just doing his thing. And the only thing that he asks is that you become a patron, which I did. I was happy to do so. For the amount of money that I'm paying each month, I'm getting tenfold that in terms of value. And it becomes like something I look forward to every week with his walk podcast and The Break that he does. And I listen to that while I'm working out or whatever I'm doing, driving, walking. I love it. So, unfortunately, I just sold you on a podcast that is 10 times better than mine, but I can only aspire to be as amazing as Father Roderick is. But now you have something else to listen to if you want to try him out. But yeah, that's it. That's it for this week. I'm so excited to drop this video that's going to be coming out. I hope you enjoy it. I'm sure you may have already seen it by the time that you're listening to this. But I think this is going to be something special. This path that I'm on is going to be one that takes me to great places. And I hope yours does as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you next week for Missing Pieces, or in between, we'll be doing a business meeting and also 3 questions. Still looking for that 4th series that I need to do here. Although maybe I shouldn't, because the plates are all balanced right now. Let's just keep them in the air. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next episode.